EB's talked about the lack of a market for Trent Williams. I don't know that there's a lack of market completely. There's just a lack of market that's willing to pay him top dollar and give up high draft picks for him.
Oh, I'm sure every team would love to have him, but not necessarily at what they think his contract demands are. Yeah, I think that's the issue.
Now, Trent's agent, Vince Taylor, said it's not about the money, although you hear about the money all the time. Can we play cut one, which is him talking about that it's not about a new contract?
Right. Yeah, that's totally false. It's not the contract. It's strictly the team. It's strictly the team making a mockery or people that get information privy to them that's making a mockery of the situation. What's more important for Trent is just to move on with his career.
You know, it's interesting, and I know we have a bunch of clips. I see him here. Maybe we could play him where he talks about, he met with Rivera, and Rivera said, he just wanted him to prove himself, right?
That's
and he didn't like
three.
that. So that means it's about the money.
Yeah, that's cut 3. We can play that here.
We get to the new regime. Ron Rivera hired. Trent's optimistic that maybe, things will be different. Yeah, there were a lot of changes made. Medical staff, trainer, coaches, just a total overhaul. 45 days go by. Trent has not heard anything from Ron. As his representative, I reached out to the club. Hey, what's going on? Trent, would like to know when would Ron call him? When can they have a conversation? I may have called maybe 3 or 4 times before we were given the message that he would reach out to Trent at some point. Before they even met, he had a meeting with a former player, Greg Olsen, who was a free agent. So that in itself didn't really sit right, that you wouldn't meet with a guy that's on your club, but you meet with a free agent that you had a relationship with prior to.
All in his feelings.
So the feelings are definitely hurt.
Well,
the sensitivity.
You would think if Coach Rivera thought it was a priority to have Trent, that would be somebody he'd return his call pretty quickly.
Right. Or set up a quick meeting or something.
Again, we're hearing one side.
True.
But I can't believe this relationship has gotten so bad and it's going to last 2 years. It's almost lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
But again, I think we all feel that I feel it's about money. If the Skins put out a quality offer, I still think he would take it, but maybe the relationship is so fractured that he wouldn't.
And the agent goes on to say that they can't even fix this. You would think that if it's just, I didn't make a phone call, you could call him up and say, my bad, I probably should have reached out to you. I'm sorry, I've been overwhelmed, new job. But apparently he says that it cannot be fixed. Let's play that. That's cut 6. This was on Grant and Danny's show yesterday. Vince Taylor, Trent Williams' agent.
There's no relationship at all with Trent and Ron. There's not at all, and
would he be willing to build that bridge? Like, would he want to go into the park and get to know Ron, or is that ship sailed?
Well, yeah, that ship has sailed a long time ago. And like I said in the beginning, 45 days that went by. And, of course, you got to give people time to get acclimated to the new building. But when you start meeting with players that you have a previous relationship with that on the free market, Greg Olsen came into town. He openly met with him. Me as Trent representative reached out to the Redskins on multiple occasions just to try to get Trent and Ron in the same room because of our optimism. And you meet with him for 10 minutes, and his message to you was like, look, come in here and prove yourself. It's not to say, hey, man, how are you doing? How's your family? We think that you're in our plans. If Trent Williams was in their plans, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right.
Yeah, 45 days of not really making an effort to meet with Trent Williams. It just shows me that Ron Rivera is basically treating everybody the same when he comes in here. You are going to have to prove yourself. He doesn't care what you've done in the past, and that clearly has ruffled the feathers of Trent Williams and his camp.
What if the Redskins just play hardball? Will Trent Williams come to camp and play?
No.
So he's going to sit out for 2 years.
They'll eventually give up and just get whatever they can.
I understand, but just worst case scenario, would he actually sit out for 2 years?
Seems like it.
Seems like it. Yeah.
Man,
But man, I think Trent's a baby in this. Big deal. He didn't call you. He's so torn by the fact that they met with Greg Olsen. That seems to really irk him. His agent just brought up Greg Olsen.
I think he's
twice.
reading. I
Wouldn't
think
you
he's
be
reading the
peeved
room
too?
correctly. Go ahead, Cakes.
I'd be peeved too if he's been with this organization since day one, and then the new coach comes in, and all he wants to do is meet with a washed-up tight end.
Right.
Instead of meeting with me, I still have a few good years left, at least I would think.
Right.
And I'm getting bypassed for a guy that you coached in Carolina. I'd be upset too.
Yeah, you could tell if an organization wants you or not. The fact that they dragged their feet so long to even meet with you, I think is pretty telling. But at the end of the day, if you want to play football, is this about you want to play football or you just want them to jock you?
Right.
From Rivera's perspective, he's probably coming here going, everybody's telling me how bad the culture is here. I got a guy that sat out last year that's unhappy. He could potentially be a bad apple in the locker room, even though everybody likes him. It's just, I don't know him. I'm trying to institute a culture change here, so I can understand from Ron's perspective that he's not really dying necessarily to have that guy on his team.
If I were Ron Rivera, I'm going to go to whoever is in charge of trades at this point. I'm going to tell that guy, I'm going to say, look, you're on lockdown in this building. You have nowhere else to go because of the corona. You're on lockdown anyway. Your mission, your sole mission in life is to get a third-round pick or better for Trent Williams. Get it done, and let's move on from this chapter.
Well, apparently
It's
the
a
Redskins
huge distraction.
Apparently the Redskins are asking for way more than that, Cakes. Here's Vince Taylor again, Trent Williams' agent, talking about what the Redskins want.
The Redskins, prior to the combine, put Trent on the trade market. They had him on maybe 10 days, and even through the combine, which is the biggest business platform for teams looking to wheel and deal. Upon leaving the combine, the Redskins had not gotten one offer that they could bring to Trent and I so that I could negotiate our side. I had teams call me, and I won't call them out. I had 2 teams call me that said, those guys do not know what they're doing. Their ask is outrageous. So upon that, the
clarify
team
that.
gave
When
us,
you say their ask, meaning the round that they want for
The
Trent Williams?
compensation.
Yep. The compensation that they were asking for was totally absurd. I had 2 teams call to tell me that.
Does that mean they
All
want
right,
a
so
first rounder?
they're asking for a first rounder.
Well, so that, of course, that's your starting off point. But then when you realize the market has completely cooled, then you actually negotiate. You go back and forth. You trade proposals back and forth with other teams. You don't just sit there resolute on getting a first-round pick or nothing.
Right.